What is King's Road? In fact, many people make the mistake of thinking that it's only a philosophy. It sounds beautiful, of course, but no. In addition to being a philosophy, King's Road is also a brand of quality product. To expand on the idea that it's a brand, I want to remind you that even All Japan jackets had King's Road written on them. And later, All Japan started doing shows with King's Road name. And you know, that's good idea, because it shows that wrestling can be different and pro wrestling styles have differences. Up until 1970s, All Japan Pro Wrestling used to American pro wrestling style, with many bloody matches that later become hardcore wrestling, as represented Abdullah the Butcher and the Sheikh, as well as many ring outs, draws and other matches. Takemi Kurizawa says, "It was only after 1990s that All Japan began to call King's Road in contrast to Inoki's strong style and Atsushi Onita Evil Road. Antonio Inoki advocated a strong style, wrestling with outward display of strength, and continued to wrestle under the pretense of merit supremacy. In an interview given in his later years, Giant Baba said, "Wrestling is a mixture of many things, and it has a deep bottom. Wrestling is about building a body that can withstand being punched and kicked." And he advocated the importance of receiving. In 1987, Riki Choshu and other members of Japan Pro Wrestling returned to AJPW. When All Japan matches were losing their intensity, Tenryu appealed that "I have no choice but to fight Wajima and Jamba and try to enliven All Japan through matches between Japanese wrestlers." Tenryu wanted to fight Tsuruta in earnest and he shot at him. Tenryu urging of Tsuruta led to a fierce war between Tsuruta and Tenryu alliance, which naturally led to a return of intense matches to All Japan. In 1989, All Japan adopted the slogan "Bright, Fun, Intense Wrestling" and declared that ring outs and foul play were dark wrestling. Tsuruta and Tenryu, who is said to have become serious, began competing for a Triple Crown title, and on June 5, 1989, their match at Nippon Budokan was selected as the best match of the year in Pro Wrestling Grand Prix and is said to have defined intense professional wrestling. However, in 1990, Genichiro Tenryu and others moved to SWS, and as American Wrestling, including WWF, established a TV-led entertainment format in pro wrestling world, and opportunities for big-name foreign wrestlers come to Japan become fewer. Baba said, "Those guys left me, so from now on, I will do the kind of wrestling I want to do." Baba selected 4 young wrestlers: Mitsuharu Misawa, Tashaki Kawada, Akira Taoye and Kenta Kobashi. These 4 men later came to be known as 4 Pillars of Heaven. King's Road, an intense form of professional wrestling, is a 2.9 count offensive and defensive match with exchange of big moves and a fierce war of attrition. And it's specializing in showing off wrestlers in the ring without microphone performances. In many cases, matches between big-name wrestlers ended in inexplicable rulings, such as out-of-ring draws or foul decisions after the referee fainted. In order to eliminate the dark side of wrestling and make it light wrestling, All Japan in 1990s abolished all of the above. In other words, there were no bloody matches, no disqualification, not even out-of-boundary ring outs, harsh conditions for the wrestlers. As a result, draws between big-name wrestlers, as was the case in All Japan up until 1980s, were almost non-existent except in cases where time ran out, and it was no longer unusual to see established main event wrestlers lose by pinfall. With the elimination of Deadly Weapon Attack, Butcher turned to babyface, and legitimate foreign wrestlers such as Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, as well as Jumbo Tsuruta, become a major barrier for 4 Pillars of Heaven. Giant Baba wouldn't allow his wrestlers to end the match with a face lock, no matter how physically demanding the situation was, and would aim for 3 count fall while giving up after a big move. Therefore, it was often seen that a wrestler who was hit by a big move would get up without falling down, and in a dazed state, give his opponent a blow to force him into a double down state. As I mentioned, the concept is to take all the opponent's techniques and still win. Some claim that it's similar to high-speed wrestling represented by Riki Choshu and others in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but in terms of content it's even the opposite. The origin of this style is a mixture of fierce wrestling of Tenryu Alliance, including Browser Brody and Hansen, who wowed all Japan fans with their smash and grab style, and Genichiro Tenryu and Ashura Hara before leaving All Japan, and the extremely orthodox style centered on the Olympics team of Jumbo Tsuruta and Yoshiaki Yatsu. In addition, dangerous vertical backdrop moves have been rampant since 1993, when Steve Williams dared to perform a dangerous backdrop known as the killer backdrop. Some criticize the style for its disregard for technique. If we take the position of Giant Baba and his spirituality as an integral part of King's Road, then we cannot talk only about the concept of racing matches. Incidentally, Kyohei Wada, who has long been in contact with King's Road, says that what has been done for a long time is King's Road, and Genichiro Tenryu says that what has no form is King's Road. However, it's generally recognized that the format of professional racing matches that are concerned with aesthetic of mental and physical competition and acceptance in the ring, as well as attitude towards the match themselves, are called King's Road wrestling. Therefore, 4 pillars of heaven in the matches that graced the main event at the time were embodiments of King's Road wrestling. If you ask me what's up with King's Road right now, I'll tell you that it's gone, unfortunately or fortunately, but you can partially touch it by watching people who were trained King's Road style wrestlers.